The question that often many people ask of Suzy Unger is, how did one of Hollywood's top powerful agents become a therapist? Her story is quite intriguing of how she went from that moment of dying to changing her life. Suzy Unger, thank you so much for doing this, my dear friend. My dear friend. So I got to ask you, how did one of Hollywood's top agents become a therapist? You're sitting there as a therapist now, enjoying life. How did it happen?
That is such a huge question. But first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm truly honored. I respect you and I love you, and I've known you for a very long time. And I represented you when I was.
Yes, you did. You did. And very well. I mean, I remember when we sold Life Among the Dead, you were with us throughout the whole process. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, yeah.
Well, you know, just sort of zeroing in on, so I was an agent for 15 years, but in the business for 30 years. But I had this little secret that nobody knew. At least I didn't think they did, but it was blaringly obvious, which was that I was dying from an eating disorder. And within my red carpet life, I actually was, I sold and created reality shows. I was one.
Yeah.
And so anyone could have put the cameras on me and see me eat a quarter of a piece of cheese a week. And somehow Hollywood accepted me and the world accepted me because I was, quote unquote, a powerful agent.
Yes, you were.
And so I sold my soul, because the idea of being perfect and being good enough and not being enough in just who I was and who I cared about and what I loved or what I didn't, somehow superseded this idea of, well, if I'm going to be a professional woman, I must be a thin professional woman. I must be a certain kind of professional woman. And my nickname was the Tiger Woman. And I took that as a term of endearment. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was believing at that time.
Yeah. Because I remember having a meeting with you and watching you push a side salad around your plate, holding this really incredible conversation with these TV producers, myself, my manager. We were all at this table, all eating, but you were leading this whole conversation, yet pushing these salad leaves around your plate.
Yeah, I was so depleted emotionally and physically, and yet there's a speed that comes with being an agent and having to be on all the time for other people. And truly, Lise, I wasn't even aware of it at that time. I really wasn't. So if someone said to me, like once Courtney Cox, we went out to lunch, and when she wasn't looking, we went to Cynthia's where they had these fabulous fried chicken salads, and I was freaking out. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? They didn't have plain salads. So she turned around to look out, and I dropped the chicken in my lap. And I got back to the office, and my boss called me and took him in and said, so Courtney's a little worried. She thinks you might have an eating disorder. And I said, oh, Mark, that's crazy. Of course I don't. And he's like, yeah, I know you don't. Because I hid it, because that would be too shameful to be able to say, hey, I'm hurting. Hey, I need something. Hey, I don't feel good enough in the world without this crutch. And what people feel like when people say or diagnose an eating disorder, everyone says, oh, it's all about control. And I believe it's the absolute opposite thing, because if I had control, I wouldn't be doing that to myself.
Yeah, it's true. So do you think, was that the turning point when Courtney Cox had spoken to Mark?
Oh no. I remember a meeting with Jennifer Lopez once where she brought cupcakes in, and I took a pink cupcake and I put it on my lap, and I was wearing a beautiful pink skirt. And when we stood up, when the meeting was over, the cupcake was on my skirt. But none of that was enough. Because
Right.
at that point, the forces that, okay, all of us grow up with these ideas about what being beautiful, being a woman. Now we're starting to deconstruct those discourses. But I grew up believing, my mother grew up in diet culture. She didn't understand that when I was 10 years old, and I was a ballet dancer, when she put a diet on my plate, the Vogue 500 calorie diet, that was another thing. I'm going to be perfect at that.
Yeah.
And then 500, I can do 400. So I had this secret, and I was living that way my entire life until I was, well, today I'm 58. I haven't said that out loud.
Yeah, it's your birthday today.
Right? Until I was 42 years old. I was holding that, and all that shame and all that hiding. And it really took me leaving WME and being on a cruise with my husband where I had an out-of-body experience where I was 97 pounds and I'm 5'9". Well, I'm shrinking, I'm probably 5'8", but where my body floated above me and I literally saw the top of the cabin, and then I saw the top of the ship, and then a voice said, "Not yet." And I woke up, and it wasn't even that moment. It was someone on the ship pointing to me and being freezing in 100-degree weather, where I thought, that's it. I can't do this anymore. And I saw myself as the world saw myself for the first time.
Wow.
So I entered rehab as a woman with I had all the titles.
Yes, you did.
The house, the pool, the husband, the career. And I had to give everything up and live with 4 women who were like half my age, more than that. And I found humility, and I found myself, because I didn't know who I was without those titles. I was now just Suzy Unger.
Yeah, that's it. You were, and I remember talking to you while you were in there, and we wanted to come and see you, and you kept making excuses. You kept making excuses for us not to come, and I was just sitting there going, you know what? This is your journey. This is your journey. Now, how long were you in rehab for?
I was in rehab for 8 months. And I couldn't see my husband, and I couldn't, we at the end, I got visiting days. Yep. I couldn't walk. I thought I was going to die in there. And then when I left there, I went into a home to live with 5 other women by the beach. But the thing that I did was that the minute I got into rehab, something happened where I know they were doing an intake on me. And I was like, I don't belong here. This is not, like, I am not them. And something just came out of me. And I said to the woman, "Are you recovered?" And she said, "I am." And in that very second, I remember looking at the corner of the room, and I turned back and I said, "I'm going to do what you're doing." And she said, "Can we just focus on like getting you," like she wasn't having it.
Yeah.
But I knew in that moment, oh, my journey is not to be an agent and to please other people. My journey is to find myself and help other people find themselves.
That's amazing. So now here you are, a therapist.
Here I am.
Beautiful degree, going through absolutely everything. And I remember having a conversation with you recently where you found it very hard to drop the title of agent, and you just surrendering into the life that you have now. And Suzy, I've got to tell you that I have seen such a beautiful transformation with you over, I've been in America now 14 years. I've known you probably almost 15 years because I met you before I came to America. And it was incredible. I look at you and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I really am, because
that means a lot
of the transformation. But there is so much pressure. You've talked about Hollywood, but there is so much pressure from society, from social media, from mainstream media, from, you know, Vogue, from all of these glossy magazines, from now TikTok. Now we've got a lot of pressure, Instagram, a lot of pressure on these young children, on myself in front of a camera, on anybody. It's like, I've got to have the perfect lighting. I've got to have the perfect shade of makeup. I've got to have my hair done, my nails done. I've got to look a certain way. What would you say to somebody who is really struggling with that acceptance of, you know, hey, show up and be yourself? What would you say to them? What would advice you
Well,
would give?
you know, it's interesting because when I went to grad school, I grew up in San Francisco with a very, very liberal artist mother. And I was taught to see no color, which we all know now what that actually means, right? And sexuality was completely fluid. And when I got into grad school, I specialized in LGBT in that area. And most of my clients are in the LGBTQIA plus community. And there's, from the time that you grow up, think about it this way, you are given these messages, all of us, that being a girl likes pink and a boy likes blue. And we are taught, at least my generation, that anything short of that is not normal. Mm-hmm. And society gives all the messages, the commercials, the TV shows, the magazines, the internet. So what happens is that we take whatever we believe is a deficit in us. And at that time, when you're a kid, very often you don't have the language or the courage to be able to say, I like X. I like boys, I like girls. I'm not sure that I was born into the body that I want to, whatever it is. And we internalize that as being wrong and being bad. And then that becomes shame, but not just shame. Shame is, I did something wrong. Toxic shame is, I am wrong. And so whether it's beauty, identity, weight, career, without learning to express how you feel and finding acceptance, all of us work out of deficit because it's too scary to say, I am scared. I don't know. And think about, if we were in school, Lise, did you ever have a class that was called feelings?
No. I'm English. We don't even hug.
Well, and so what parts of yourself have you repressed that in your mind are like, oh, it's not safe to do that? Yeah. And so these ideas about what we're supposed to be instead of who we are, and having the courage and the bravery to be able to find your tribe, and whether that's same sex, whatever it is, wherever you feel safe. I use this sort of terminology of inviting in the people you want to invite into your life. Because as an LGBT plus or any stigma, I'm a meth addict, I'm an anorexic, that's identity. Yep. Rather than I'm struggling. My response to the world has been to make myself smaller or to use drugs or to drink. That's why I don't like, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. No, my response to my feelings in my life have been to go drink. And now I realize, oh, that's my power. That's my sensitivity. That's my beauty. And I didn't know how to express that. So mine came out in an eating disorder or perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
Others come out in drugs or shopping or sex or alcohol or anything that doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good. And so for people who are listening who are struggling, to conceal instead of revealing who you are, at what cost? And who do you have, whether it's a hotline or a friend or whatever it is, to be able to say, hey, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Not I'm bad or I'm a fuck up. Oops, can I say
Well,
that?
you can say that.
Okay. Or I'm a fuck up, or hey, I'm really scared. And it has me doing these things because I'm trying to anesthetize the pain.
I'm trying to cope.
I'm trying to cope.
It's a coping mechanism. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's what you talked about is that it wasn't control, because had you have been in control, you would have controlled everything. But you were trying to cope, and cope and control are very different actions and emotions. And so I've got to ask you, what stops you right now from reverting back? What is your maybe coping mechanism? What is your thing that you do to stop you going into, okay, I gotta control my diet now?
Okay, so the way that I work is that I externalize fear, or I externalize anorexia. I'll call anorexia Sally. Okay.
Yep.
So when I was in treatment and had the most incredible therapist, because I believe there are a lot of really shitty therapists out there who don't understand eating disorders, they pathologize it.
Right.
And think about even sexuality. It's in the DSM. It's pathologized.
Yep.
That's super fucked up. But what I do is I externalize. So for me, I always say that Sally will whisper every once in a while. And I'm like, oh, no, I actually don't need you, Sally, but it's a warning sign. What do I need?
Yes.
I need to express myself. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling fragile. I'm feeling tender. I'm feeling like my self-esteem or my confidence is starting to wane. And I also know that Sally wants me to go, oh, I'm right here. Just eat too much food, or don't eat your food, or throw up your food. And that I don't need Sally at all.
Yeah.
And so she's like a distant relative, because I think when people say, oh, I'm completely recovered, well, that is a standard. That's perfectionistic thinking too. And that doesn't leave room for any kind of exploration or imagination. So I want people to know out there that when they're scared, when they're reaching for the bottle, when they're reaching for whatever it is, to check in and go, oh, that's something. I want to feel special. I want to feel unique in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't. And so I'm going to go do this. But it's easier, actually, it's easier to be able to say, hey, I'm really afraid. Will you just listen to me? You don't have to fix it.
Yeah.
Just listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine you feel that and you hear that from the spirits.
So it's funny because I actually call mine Veronica.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I have always, and I teach my students, that little nagging voice, give it a name and talk to it and have a dialogue with it. And so I always have this dialogue where I have an issue where I feel like I'm fat sometimes, and I'm like, okay, so Veronica's telling you your hips are big. You as Lisa are like, yeah, but you want that ice cream, okay? And Veronica's going, oh, don't, because of this. And I have this dialogue. I'm like, you know what, Veronica? Go away. I'm going to deal with you at another point. And if I want the ice cream, I'm going to go and eat the ice cream. because that I'm vegan. So I'm like, I'm vegan. There's only certain ice creams I can have. Let me enjoy what I can get.
Now, let me ask you a question. What does it say about you that you want the ice cream?
Because, well, for me,
Yeah.
what Veronica?
No, just you.
Me.
Yeah.
So in my world, because I'm vegan and I find it very hard to find, I used to love sugar. I was a massive sugar fiend. Yeah. And so when before I was vegan, it was sugar. That was my rush. But since then, because I'm vegan, I live in the back end of beyond. Whenever I can get ice cream, I'm like, I just want a little bit of sugar. I'm really hot, whatever it is. And I actually am not an ice cream person. But if I can get my hands on those plant-based magnums, I'm going to have it. Because
Absolutely.
actually, my pleasure. Because I want to feel like, again, it goes back to that normal, because I find it very hard to eat anywhere else. When I was in LA, it was easy. But here, it's really difficult. And there is a stigmatism on me. It's like, nee, because I'm vegan, everyone's like, oh, where'd you get your protein from? Yada, 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 yada.
Oh,
And
so you have to be at a certain standard.
oh, yeah.
Yes. And so I would imagine you feel like you're disappointing your people if you have ice cream.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't, because I've worked on it, and I've worked on that stuff. And I go, and I have this little gnome, and I literally am like that. I'm like, you know what? I want to have my plant-based ice cream. I'm going to eat my plant-based ice cream, because you know what? I don't have it all the time, but it makes me happy. If I want it, I have it. And I too have had to work on that. You're not good enough. You're not, when my TV show got cancelled, it was like, you're not good enough. You're this, you're that, boom, 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 boom. Full well, networks change. So all of those things went in my head, and I had to work on it. And as an English person, we don't do therapy. We come across with a stiff upper lip. We're fine. And I'm going to tell you, I came to America. The first thing I did, let me get into therapy. It was the best thing ever, because I remember standing on the 11th floor of my apartment, wanting to jump off it at 4:00 in the morning, because I didn't think I was good enough. I was in a relationship that was very toxic, and it was just horrible. And I had cancer. I was like, oh my God. And I had that whole thing was, I'm not a woman because I can't provide children. So I think we go through these variety of emotions, and it's not just anorexia. It's not just bulimia. It's not just alcoholism. It's not drug. It's not just one thing. It's a variety of things that completely change depending on circumstances and times of your life.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And I knew you during that time, and I didn't know that incident, right? But the knowing that you have purpose and you have meaning in your life and a community.
Yes.
That is there. You, Lisa Williams, will always have that. But there are a lot of people who lose sight of purpose. What is my purpose and what is my meaning? Yeah. And I don't have a community. I'm all alone. Mm-hmm. And that the isolation and the fear that somehow validates all those thoughts of deficit about yourself. And I've had clients, many, who we develop, what do you value about yourself? I don't care if it's that you can get up and brush your teeth. Okay, if you can brush your teeth, do you think you can also brush your hair? If you can brush your hair, do you think you can reach out to a group, to a support group? And if that happens, does that mean that we have possibility in your life? and start building slowly a new narrative around possibility, because none of us know what is going to happen tomorrow. None. If I said to you, hey, Lisa, we're all going to be sitting at home a year ago, and the world is going to be on lockdown, we would have said, that's crazy. But just like feelings, just like sexuality, everything is on a continuum. And so if you can see that 1 minute you're going to feel horrible, but there's a possibility that if you do one thing for yourself, valuing yourself, not devaluing yourself, then is it possible that we can build a new story around that?
Yeah. You're not.
It was not easy to eat my food. It was not. When I was in rehab and they put food in front of me and I said to them, am I going to die in here? And they didn't answer me. And at that point, when you called to say, I want to come, I was so filled with shame instead of pride. Wait, I'm doing this. Look at me. I'm a hero.
You were amazing.
But we all are. And if people can see that what they see as their problem, whether it's alcoholism or drugs or food or whatever it is, that's actually your power. That's your sensitivity. Your response is in the wrong place. But that power that lives inside of you, if you can find one thing to connect to start building the pieces, you and I are living examples. You could have jumped and I could have died.
Yep, absolutely.
And we didn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with all of that said, between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning are the hardest hours for people who are struggling, and they're struggling all day, but often because they haven't got their support network. The support network is sleeping, everybody around, and it's that lonely time. If someone is watching this at 4 o'clock in the morning, what advice would you give them right now just to help them through this moment?
The first thing I would say is, when you're feeling that futile, it seems insane to me to say, well, write down your thoughts, because you're not in that place. You're in, it's all or nothing. For those people that are out there struggling, when they're probably watching it during the day, is there one person? Is it an animal? Is there one, just one, that we can invite in and say, hey, I'm feeling really fragile right now. I may need you. Are you available for me? That you have one person to reach out to. If not that, there are suicide hotlines everywhere, and they're amazing. They're amazing everywhere. And to start taking inventory in what you do have, even what your hope would be. I don't care if you want to be a ballerina in space. Is there a dream? Is there something that brings you towards a preferred narrative? And to connect with possibility. Because when you're feeling that way, you feel like you don't have anything. But if there's one thing, even if it's, I'm looking forward to walking outside in the morning, or I don't want to, because when you're feeling small, you feel like you don't belong. And we all want to feel like we belong. We all want to feel like we're chosen. And we all are. And sometimes it seems bleak. So we have to look behind the curtains. But there is always someone or something there. And to find a way to connect to that. I call it like the invisible safety bag. Let's develop our safe. So I'm saying this to your viewers out there right now. Take out your invisible safety bag. Who or what is in it? When you're feeling that low, what do you know you need?
Yeah.
Because it's available. It is. And that's your power. That's your strength. is to be able to look and go, whoa, I just survived that horrible night.
And you can survive it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suzy, thank you for
Oh,
sharing.
God, thank you.
It's I'm so blessed to have had you in my life for as long as I have, and I am very blessed now that you're sharing your truth and who you are and just your love out there in the world and helping so many people, because you're an incredible agent, but you're an incredible person with so much love to give. And as a therapist, I feel that your clients are exceptionally lucky to have you.
Thank you. I love my clients, so.